Well, joining us now on Encounter is church historian, religious scholar, and author, Father Michael Collins. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And this is your latest book, Pope Francis, A Photographic Portrait of the People's Pope. And it's a wonderful book. I had a chance to go through it. But thank you, first of all, for being with us, Father Michael. And maybe if you could start off by talking a little bit about what made you decide to sort of take a sort of photographic little look at the Pope's beginning of being a pope and then a year in his life.
Well, I think since the election of Pope Francis in March of 2013, I, like everybody else, has been fascinated by the character of the Pope. Whether we like him or whether we don't like him doesn't really enter into the question. You can't avoid him. He's one of those extraordinary people who's making such an impact on the world stage. So I've noticed that there's a lot of books coming out, but at this stage they're kind of treading the same water. It's repeating the same material, the same stories. And I thought it would be really nice to do a book of photographs of the Pope, which are taken by his personal photographer. He's been working with this series, if you like, over the last 153 years, because the company that we're talking about, the Felici Studio, have been founded since 1863. And over those years, the popes have been part of their principal photographic scene. Okay. So what we wanted to do was compose, if you like, a photographic album of Pope Francis so that you would see what it's like to be day by day in the company of the Pope. So we began with a short biography of the Pope with some photographs. Then we showed the beginning of his journey to the papacy, the abdication of Pope Benedict on the 28th of February of 2013, the cardinals coming to Rome, the whole election process in the Sistine Chapel, the emergence of the white smoke over St. Peter's Square, the crowds gathering there, the first salute of the Pope, his first Mass in the parish of Sant'Anna, right through to his inauguration. So that forms another photographic chapter, if you like. And then we thought it might be very interesting for people, in particular those who don't really know what the Pope does day by day, and they rely on, if you like, news snippets. What he does, starting off in the morning, going through the day, and then throughout the year. So we've broken it up into 12 months, and we showed the different feast days, the different events that the Pope participates in. And the majority of these photographs were taken by the Felici family, who, as I say, are the second official photographers to the Pope and have been for more than 100 years. So the photographers are walking literally 2 or 3 steps behind the Pope. So they circle the Pope, they get these wonderful images of the Pope's face, of his gestures. And one of the things I noticed about Pope Francis is that he is a man of gesture. He really enjoys engaging with people. He embraces them, he hugs them, he kisses them. He just seems to come alive when he's with people, which is a lovely trait in any human character.
Talk about, you go through the year with the Pope, but maybe for somebody, like myself, what's a typical day like for the Pope if he's not traveling or there's not a feast day or some particular special event at the Vatican? What would be a typical day like for Pope
Well,
Francis?
apparently the present Pope, popes have a history of being early birds. They always seem to get up before the crack of dawn. But this man is even worse, because he gets up at 4 in the morning. He's just done that all his life, apparently. You know, he likes to be up early, get himself going. He likes to spend time in prayer to start off with. Then he's Mass at 7 o'clock in his church. As you know, he doesn't live in the Apostolic Palace, which is supposed to be this wonderful, great 16th century gilded cage. Actually, it's not that amazing. It's okay, it's covered with lovely frescoes, but it's kind of big and barren and rather impersonal. So he prefers to live in the Domus Santa Marta, which indeed was built by Americans, which not many people know about. It's a kind of, if you like, a holiday home type of inn, holiday inn type of place. It's quite basic, but it's comfortable enough. He lives with 70 others. He goes off in the morning, sometimes to the Apostolic Palace. Sometimes he stays in his 2 rooms, his bedroom, his study, and a little reception room. He'll meet people all morning. Then after lunch, which he takes in common in the refectory, he has a siesta. Then he's back to work at 3 o'clock, meeting people. That goes on till about 7. And then he retires, goes to bed around 9:30 or 10.
Talk about something, there's so many beautiful pictures in here. I was wondering if you had a particular favorite or a particular part of the book that you're sort of favorable to.
I think all the pictures of the Pope with people are the ones which attract our attention. For visitors who've seen the Vatican, they'll probably remember it's a very colourful place. People who haven't been to the Vatican, I think this book is a wonderful introduction. And in fact, I've been so pleased. So many people have contacted me and said they've enjoyed reading the book, because being a photographic book, you can dive in and out all the time, keep going back. And people are enjoying looking at the wonderful background, Michelangelo's frescoes, Da Vinci, whoever you've got, all these big names behind it. But I think it's the Pope's face is what really catches your impression. And there's a wonderful picture of him coming in, meeting a deacon in St. Peter's, and the deacon says, "Can I take a selfie?" And the Pope just looks around and he says, "I don't know if we're allowed to do that here." Well, he's in charge, so he should know.